This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by Nick Campbell here over Zoom. Nick, always good to catch up. It's not been too long since the last one, but a lot has happened since. How is everything though, mate? You all good?
Joshua, pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having me as always. And yeah, all is well. All is well. I'm on Jersey. Everything's well on the rock, as we call it here. So yeah, happy days.
Very, very good to hear. Well, let's dive straight into things. A lot has gone down in boxing over the last few weeks, especially over the weekend. We saw Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. settle their 2.5 year personal rivalry and the 35-year family rivalry. So, a long time coming, but it is now settled. Chris Eubank Jr., the victorious man on the night. What were your thoughts on the 12 rounds that they shared on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, initially, I think it was clear to see how drained at the weight Eubank was. I think any time that Conor Benn was having a little bit of success, you were kind of on the edge of your seat because you didn't know if Eubank was going to get hurt or not, or he looked very susceptible to being hurt.
Hmm.
And I think that was largely down to the weight restrictions that were put on him before the fight. The weight that he had to make, and then the restrictions and rehydration. So that was initially the first thing. But listen, I thought it was a great fight. It wasn't at a world title level fight. It was probably European level at best, but very, very entertaining. Sold out a massive arena. All the backdrop, all the hype, all the press before it, and the fight really lived up to that. It was a real fan-friendly fight. I think I've spoken to people who aren't really boxing fans, and everybody who watched it enjoyed it. So I think overall it was a big win, and thankfully, like we said, nobody was seriously hurt. I know Eubank was taken into hospital after the fight, probably I would say down to some of the weight issues that he faced before the fight and then going through the grueling 12 rounds. But listen, I was surprised as well. I didn't really think it could be as good a fight. I didn't think it would live up to the expectation in that sense. So I stand corrected. I thought both men gave a great account of themselves. It was a real, like I say, fan friendly fight and would definitely watch it again.
You mentioned the fight, not being a world title level type of fight. In the post-fight press conference with Conor Benn, obviously we didn't get to hear from Eubank Jr. due to being taken to hospital just for precautionary measures and make sure he was all good. But Eddie Hearn said even in defeat, Conor Benn showed on Saturday night that he is a world-class fighter. A lot of people have begged to differ and maybe don't think the same. Do you agree with Eddie Hearn there, or do you think there's still a bit more to see from Conor Benn before we can call him world-class?
Definitely a bit more to see from, I think, as well. You need to take that with a pinch of salt. Eddie Hearn is Conor Benn's promoter and ultimately wants the best for his fighter. So he's not going to come out there and say that was a European level fight at best, is he? It's just not going to. It's not going to match the box office. It's not going to match. I think they announced there was 620,000 pay-per-view buys on it. So he's not going to come out and say it's not a world level fight. Realistically, do either of those men beat Canelo? Probably not. And does Conor Benn beat anybody at 147 if he moves down? I don't think so. So, yeah, last time was a great fight, great spectacle. Like we say, all the history and stuff about it, but I would have to respectfully disagree with Edward on that one. I don't think deep down he'll believe that to be true either. He knows a lot about boxing. He's a much more knowledgeable boxing man than me. So he's just building it up into for the rematch, and he wants to sell another 600,000 pay-per-view buys.
From what you saw on Saturday night, do you have any interest in a rematch?
Um, yeah, no, I think I do have an interest in the rematch, but not with the rehydration clause. I think if we're going to see the rematch, I'd like to see it make it a 160. Even at 160 now, Eubank couldn't even make the weight, and there was nothing left to give. So, do we need to maybe reassess? He won, so does he maybe get an extra couple of pounds in his favour now because he won the fight? And then I really don't want to see that rehydration clause. I think that killed him, and I think it limited his performance in a lot. A lot of people spoke about how Eubank had all the advantages, but in my opinion, he had none. The weight, I never had to make weight, so people say, how do you know? But I've been around enough boxers and I've got enough close friends who are boxers who need to make weight. I understand how difficult it is for these guys to make the weight. And I understand that the weight can all a lot of the time be the deciding factor in a fight. So whether it's done right or wrong, And I think, yeah, I think I seen something today from Eubank's manager. I can't remember his name, saying that the rematch was the fight that Chris wanted, but realistically, there needs to be a few alterations to the agreement before that can be made. So I'd imagine the rehydration clause will be one of them. But yeah, listen, I think it'd be another good spectacle. Might be hard to top, might be like one of those when a good movie comes out and you really like the first one, and then you go to see the sequel and you're like, oh, I was a wee bit disappointed with that. So I don't know, but yeah, definitely. It's probably a big money spinner. It probably makes both of them a lot of money. So fair play, aye, if they want to do the rematch and there's an appetite from the public, then yeah, I'd like to see it.
Do you feel we've not maybe seen the perfect ending here? You know, a lot of the talk in the build-up was also the fact that Conor Benn kept going down this line of saying your own dad doesn't even like you, and then at the 11th hour, lo and behold, Chris Eubank Sr. turns up when no one expected it. Do you feel we just can't really see a better ending than what we saw on Saturday night and just the way it all played out?
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. I think both men didn't leave the ring disgraced. Both men gave a great account of themselves. Conor had stepped up the weights to fight the bigger man. Chris Eubank had made some real sacrifices to get to that weight. And like you say as well, if it's managed to bring a father and son together, then that's fantastic, isn't it, really? I mean, go and put boxing and all that aside, if it's managed to bring two people together, then aye, it's been a success. And I think as well, a lot of people pass comment on the way that Eubank Senior behaves, but I think when you've got like Chris Jr. alluded to, when you've got a son lying out in the desert in the middle of Dubai, dead in his 30s, it must take a toll on you. You know, you're not supposed to bury your kids, so it's very difficult to comment on the way he sometimes conducts himself. But I think if it's managed to bring them back together, it can only be a positive thing. And I think just from a human point of view, it was nice to see them have that moment together.
Absolutely. Moving away from the Eubank Jr. and Ben talk, we've seen the big announcement of undisputed again at heavyweight Usyk versus Dubois 2, July 19th, Wembley Stadium. Diving straight into it, can Daniel Dubois take anything away from that first fight and landing the very controversial body shot, some say low blow? Can he take anything away from that, or is it time to leave that in the past 2 years on?
You beat me to it. Like I think, listen, aye, but it's done. It's 2 years ago. A lot's happened since then. Dubois became a much better fighter than he was in that first fight, I believe. Usyk's went on to prove himself, no end. How talented and gifted and generational that he is. So let's just leave that. Everybody knows that was it low, was it not? It's done. Move on. You can't go back and change the past. And the thing for me is you could be left to look very silly. Um, if he goes out and gets comprehensively schooled in boxing. Is it July the fight?
Yes, July 19th.
July 19th, they could be made to look very foolish by how much they went on about this one shot. And yeah, listen, of course, he probably like had a lot of negative feelings towards the decision at the time. But like we say, it's done. If you think that bringing it up constantly is going to give you an edge mentally against Usyk, then I think you're very foolish. I don't think there's much that phases this man. And I think obviously Don's son George is there to try and mix it up, but I just think it adds to Usyk's determination to go out there and prove that it was him. It was a legitimate win the first time, and there should be no questions about it. And that's what he'll be going to try and do. He'll be going to try and say, look, there's a tiny doubt over whether I should have continued on in this fight or not. Let me show you why I should have. Daniel's obviously going to want to go out and right the wrong as well. So two determined men, but let's just park all this. Was it low? Was it not? And let's move on.
Where do Daniel Dubois' advantages lie going into July 19th? Where does he have the upper hand?
Physicality and age. I think there's no doubt about it. Like Dubois is a physical specimen and a big, powerful, strong man. I've been in, done many rounds with him. I know how tough and strong he is. And obviously, listen, he's 28, 27, 28.
Yeah.
So age is on his side, he's nearly 10 years, or he is 10 years younger than Usyk, more than 10 years younger than Usyk. So age is on his side, physicality, strength, power is on his side. But the top 2 inches is what lies with Usyk. And listen, he's a fantastic specimen himself. Do you know what I mean? I read something earlier in the week that was saying, I don't drink, don't party, I don't smoke, I go to bed early, train hard. There's a lot to be said for that. And listen, Dubois does the same. So I'm not saying that Dubois is going out partying it, but what I'm saying is Usyk's more than capable of going into this fight physically, and he's not an old man. He's a very young 38-year-old with a great boxing brain on him. I think this will probably be like he's nearly his 400th fight, amateur and pro. It's crazy when you think about it. Like the amount of experience the guy's got, the scenarios that he's been in, the people that he's mixed it with. He's a hell of a fighter.
What does Daniel Dubois need to do differently compared to the first time? Or let me rephrase that question. How much improvement have you seen, and where do you think he's improved the most since the first fight with Usyk?
Yeah, listen, I think obviously the first thing is the quitter tag that can't be put on him now.
Mm.
He's been in some really tough fights, been under extreme pressure, especially against Miller and Hergovich, and he came through it with flying colours, got 2 stoppage victories. So that's been squashed. I think Don Charles is a great coach. Um, he's going to give him a little edge in the corner, or not an edge over Usyk, but I just mean that edge in himself that he can go out there and perform. And I think, listen, if you look at the pressure style that he's got, that how much punishment he can absorb and keep coming forward and keep putting you under pressure, he's a hard night's work for anybody. So yeah, I think to beat Usyk, he really needs to press him. He needs to put him under a lot of pressure. When people have had success against Usyk, it's come from, working the body, putting him under pressure, backing him up, keeping him on the back foot the whole time, not letting him get set in his pace. So that's what he needs to do. Doing it's a different matter. People have only been able to do it in spells against Usyk so far, and that's some of the best fighters in the division, or the best fighters in the division. So it's a tough night. It's a big ask. Can he do it? Of course. Of course he can do it. Will he do it? I'm not so sure.
People have started saying that they believe Oleksandr Usyk is on the slide, and that obviously Father Time waits for nobody. Do you see that the same way? Do you think Usyk may be on the downslide now?
What what is it that's indicated that he's on the slide? I've not seen anything in his last couple of performances that's shown that he's on the slide at all. I think he was in a real tough fight with a better prepared Tyson Fury the second time round, who gave it everything. And I had him by 2 rounds against Tyson. And I wanted Tyson to win the fight, and I tried to look at every avenue I could to give Tyson the rounds, but I just couldn't. Like Usyk just won the fight. So what is there to demonstrate that Usyk's on the slide? I've not seen anything. Of course, like you say, sometimes when you get to this late stage in your career, he's 38 years old. He could just turn up in the night, and it could be like overnight he's just became an old man. But I don't think he would. He's an intelligent man. Like I said, the top 2 inches with Usyk are what you need to watch. And I really feel like he's going to be in tip-top condition, ready to go the 12 rounds. And if he wasn't capable of that, I don't think they would take the fight.
So, as lastly, if I was to ask you for a prediction for how July 19th plays out, what would you say and why?
You know, like I say, I think Dubois is not a quitter. I don't think. Listen, I think he had those 2 losses, one against Usyk and one against Joyce. He had the orbital fracture, and Usyk just completely outthought him and gave him a bit of a beatdown after the knockdown, or the low blow, whatever way you want to look at it. So I don't think Usyk will stop him this time, but I think Usyk will outpoint him. I think he'll give a great account of himself. He'll probably have Usyk in trouble at times in the fight, but I just think over the stretch of the championship rounds, Usyk will overcome what he needs to, and I think he'll get the points decision.
Fair enough, Nick. Just one more from me. We saw the news last night that Jarrell Miller is out of the fight with Fabio Wardley due to a shoulder injury. Who would you like to see step in and face Fabio on June 7th at Portman Road?
Tough question. It's a tough question. I think I seen Fraser. Fraser put up a story on his Instagram saying he's available. But listen, I think Fraser's maybe got to have another couple of fights before he can be pushing back up into that position. As much as I love Big Fraser, and if he got the fight, I'd be delighted for him. But I think realistically, it's not going to sell that, is it? After the last time round, he's got a bit of rebuilding to do. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I really need to sit and think about it. I don't know if maybe is there anybody in the UK? Tell me who's been touted for it so far.
I think the names I've seen linked is Justice Hooney, Filip Hrgovic, Gassiev, and Okoli's also put on his Instagram today that he's heard Ipswich is a nice place to be in summer. So I'd say those are the four.
Do you know, aye, Hergovic makes sense. Hooney kind of makes sense. The only problem with that is I think you'll need to fight a Tuma after that if he beats him. Um, so aye, maybe that's a route. Maybe Hergovic or Hooney would be two good fights. Gassiev, I don't know much about. And Okoli, yeah, listen, that would sell. That's a big fight. Okoli's a big name, world champion at 2 weight, so it's a big fight. So yeah, those three would probably be the ones realistic you'd be looking. I think it's an easy fight to make as well because they're all Queensbury, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're all Queensbury apart from Hooney. He's Matchroom, but everyone else
Yeah,
is Queensbury.
yeah, of course. So those three wouldn't surprise me to see. Dylan White, probably not. No, definitely not Dylan White because Dylan White's his manager. Um, but aye, probably those three. Those three. I think Dylan White might be in another fight. I got a funny feeling, but we'll wait and see.
Well, Nick, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. Always good to catch up with you and look forward to the next one. Cheers.
Pleasure, man. Thanks as always. Hope everybody enjoyed listening.